The Angels have lost 6 of their last 7 series against teams that are good, and this all comes after the Angels declared that they are going to be competitive. And then this weekend against the Cubs, they get swept. Just an exclamation point as the Halos continue to sink in the standings.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Why are we fans of this team? Hey, we're going to talk a lot about the Angels today. Yoan Moncada, he carried the Halos offense on Friday night, and that wasn't a good thing. We're going to share why. The Halos couldn't buy a hit on Saturday, but then they never changed their approach, even though it wasn't working. We're going to talk about that. And Sunday came, and everything was just the same. It was all just the same. Before we talk about the Angels, we got to talk about our sponsor, 5 Hour Energy. Enter to win a dream golf trip for 2 to any golf tournament in the United States. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary, excludes the Masters tournament, and ends October 31st, 2025.
Thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Hey, we're lifelong fans of this team. Okay, go ahead and laugh. Pause, laugh. Okay, and then we're here every single weekday talking Angels baseball with you. It's our 4th season as the host of Locked On Angels. Check us out wherever you listen to podcasts, whether you're watching or listening. If you want to be in on the conversation, come over to today's show on YouTube. Hit that like and subscribe button while you're there, and get into the comments section because we read all the comments. We do our best to respond to everybody. And if you're on social medias, give us a DM or tag us at Super Halo Bros or at Locked On Angels on Twitter and Instagram. And we want to hear your thoughts on today's discussion. By the way, if you want to come bowling with Mike and I and Logan O'Hoppy, I know in that order is the way you would want it to happen.
Yes.
Sunday, September 7th, 5 p.m. to 8:30 in Fountain Valley. We're bowling together for the Logan O'Hoppy All-Star Bowl, supporting the YMCA of Orange County. Get your ticket by clicking the link in the episode description, whether you're watching or listening. Use the promo code HaloBros, all one word, and comment below. Let us know if you're going. I know James Pack, who was there last year, coming back, baby. James Pack is back. Let's go. All right, Mike. Let's get into the nitty gritty here and talk about this weekend that was against the Cubs in Anaheim.
Yeah, I just think I threw up in my mouth a little bit. Sorry about that. Friday's game, they lost 3-2. Our first takeaway from Friday is Kenley Jansen allowed the game-winning home run after not pitching on Wednesday because he had a rib issue. He comes into this game in the top of the 9th with the game tied at 2. He throws 3 cutters. 2 of them were right in Pete Crow-Armstrong's swing zone. In fact, Gooby on the TV side called it. He said Pete thrives on pitches on the inner half, and Kenley threw a cutter on the inner half, and PCA hit it out, and that ended up being the game-winning run for the Cubs.
Yeah, Kenley has struggled in non-save situations versus actual save situations. So again, if he comes in with a lead of 3 runs or less, that's a save situation. And in those 24 situations, he's got a 0.74 ERA this season. In the times that he's pitched in non-save situations, 27, he has an ERA of 5.32. Now, I know that could be a little inflated because there was a non-save situation where he just completely blew up earlier this season. And as a reliever, your ERA can get pretty high. But they've brought him in tie games, Mike, and they have used him obviously in safe situations. I don't mind him coming in a tie game like that. What I do mind, and you discussed this at length on Friday, is the fact that he's dealing with this rib injury, and yet he was there on Tuesday, he was there on Wednesday, he was there on Friday. And if you're a pitcher, I mean, good grief, that's your entire base, that's your entire core.
Yeah.
When you're twisting and turning and throwing pitches in at the plate, and we're going to let him go out there again. I didn't like that.
One of our everydayers commented on Friday's show when I talked about Kenley Jansen, and I mentioned, like, man, this is just not a great strategy. And they said, well, let me push back because the Angels believe that they're in it. So of course it's a great strategy. They're going to have their closer go into a moment like this, which I said, you're absolutely right. Never thought about that. So that was a great thought. Second takeaway, John, is Yoan Moncada was the only offense for the Halos. He had the first hit of the game for the Angels in the bottom of the 5th. It was a home run, his 10th of the season. Then he hits a second home run in the bottom of the 7th inning, 399 to right field. It was his first multi-home run game since 2022. Both times the home run tied the game. The Moncada home run tied the game. And as great as his game was, he had 2 of the 3 hits in this game. The other hit was a Joe Adell hit to right field. It came after the first home run. Halos had just 1 hit after the 5th inning, and that was, again, Moncada's second home run. They just couldn't do anything outside of Yoan Moncada at the plate.
Yeah, Yoan Moncada not having a multi-home run game since 2022. He's been hurt, and we've experienced that this season with him being hurt, and obviously he's only swinging it from the left side because he's still hurting from the right side of the plate. So in a way, it's great for him, not great for the Angels when Yoan Moncada is the only one carrying your offense and putting up runs on Friday night, and that's exactly what happened here. Now, here's a third takeaway for you. Tyler Anderson has gone 22 straight starts without a win, Mike. Hasn't qualified for the win, hasn't gotten a decision for a win. He went 5 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts on 83 pitches. It wasn't a bad start for Tyler Anderson standards, but it wasn't anything impressive either. Stop me if you've heard this before. Tyler Anderson allowed a solo shot in the first inning to Kyle Tucker.
Yeah.
Kyle Tucker has reawakened like Frankenstein this weekend because he was slumping all month.
Yep.
And he just needed 1 series in Anaheim to get right. So good for the Cubs, good for fans. And, you know, I don't have any ill will toward the Cubs, but Kyle Tucker, on the other hand, has a lot of ill will toward the Angels, and he continued to kill them this week. And then in the top of the third, Anderson worked out of a bases loaded, no out situation, just allowed 1 run. He struck out Kyle Tucker. Seiya Suzuki hit a sacrifice fly, and then Justin Turner lined out to end the inning. Fourth takeaway, the Angels reinstated Robert Stevenson from the injured list, pitched his way into this game in the top of the 7th, and this was his first appearance since May 30th for the Halos, just threw 8 pitches, 5 cutters that sat about 87 miles an hour, 2 four-seam fastballs that were about 96, 1 splitter that he threw at 87 mile an hour. Good, easy outing, no pain, good velo, maybe a little bit down from where he's used to. He admitted as much after the game, but it was great to see Robert Stevenson. Too little, too late, in my opinion, but we've got him around for next year. I think next year the last year? Is this the addendum year because he was hurt last year?
I think so, because it was a 3-year deal, right? And then he got an additional. So he's got 2 more years essentially with the Halos. Fifth takeaway, John. They had 2 big moments and 2 bad moments. So here's the big moments. First, in the top of the 6th, Andrew Chafin enters with 2 runners on, and he strikes out Pete Crow-Armstrong. Big moment. 1 inning earlier in the top of the 4th, Ian Happ hits a long fly ball to deep center field, and Bryce Teodosio jumped and caught the ball over the wall for the second out of the inning. Now, I loved this stat from Jared Timms of Talking Halos. Teodosio has played 18 games this year. He has 5 defensive runs saved already and 5 outs above average, which makes him on pace, if he played 162 games, for 45 defensive run saves and 45 outs above average. That is good, and he has played really good defense out there.
Yeah, I think he's somebody they got to keep around coming into next year. But there were 2 bad moments, Mike. You mentioned the good. I got to talk about the bad. The Angels had a 2-out rally in the bottom of the 6th. Schanuel was hit by a pitch. Trout took a walk. Taylor Ward watched strike 1 and 2 in the middle of the zone. Ball 1 was down and away. And then he watched strike 3 on the outside part of the plate. Get that guy some popcorn and a movie theater seat, because he's just sitting there watching everything happen in front of him. In the bottom of the 9th, Ward swung at the first pitch. So this guessing game that Taylor Ward often relies on is just not fun to watch at all. And I wish that he would recognize pitches a little bit better, because when you're standing there looking at things down the middle, that's your pitch, bro. Like you would have 50 home runs instead of 30 coming out of this weekend if you would just swing the bat and recognize pitches out of the hand versus taking a big guess and swinging and missing, right?
Yeah, and when he took the pitches down the middle, that like bottom of the 6th, there's runners on, and I'm not sure what he's waiting for, because the pitcher wasn't necessarily wild. I know that Schanuel got hit, but Schanuel is really like tight on the plate, and then Mike Trout walks all the time.
Yeah.
And so, and the pitches didn't miss by a lot. Trout just has a really good eye. And then strike one and strike two are in the middle of the zone. Ball one's down and away, which it's that down and away pitch the Angels swing at every single freaking time. So they were trying to strike him out there. And then they threw a pitch right back where they threw strike two. So it was almost in the same exact spot. So I'm not sure what he's waiting for. And you being the cleanup hitter, at least in this moment on Friday, we need you to swing the bat because we didn't have any hit. We had 3 hits in the game. Yeah. We need you to make some contact there. Like maybe there's an error. Maybe there's a situation where you get it through the infield, whatever might be the case. I just don't know the mindset or the game plan there. I'm not sure what you're waiting for, what you're looking for, like anything close, especially when you have 2 strikes. That's what they teach you. You swing away or you try to make contact. And it wasn't like it was on the edge of the zone and it could have been a ball. Like it was a strike where the other 2 strikes were, and he didn't even lift the bat off his shoulder. And we need you in that moment, Taylor Ward, right? Like, again, he's got 30 home runs. He could have 50 because if this guy is swinging at more pitches than not, he's going to make good contact. Problem is that Friday night, he didn't even swing the bat, so we didn't know what he could potentially do. And that ended up being very costly because the Angels never threatened for the rest of the game. Yeah,
it was unfortunate. Wait for the game to end. Again, the Angels, played a tight one there, and that's what it seems to be when they say we're obviously very competitive. We're in these games. We're there. We're doing this. It was only a 3-2 loss. I'm tired of talking about that. Don't buy into that. And it's very, very frustrating. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Coming up, the Angels have lost by 7 or more 12 times this season. One of those times happened on Saturday night. We'll give you the takeaways if your stomach can handle it. And we'll talk about that coming right up.
It's time to fuel up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. Flavors like grape, ginger, and lime are some of our everydayers' favorites. And whether you're out on the golf course or you just need a little extra push to power through the day, 5-Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the flavor that you love and gives you the energy that you need. And if you're a golfer, you know that golf is about good times with good people and good flavors. And that's why you need 5-Hour Energy Transfusion, like the grape, ginger, lime flavor of 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. Just buy Snap and infuse your drink. And when you do, you're going to get a chance to enter and win a dream golf trip for 2 to any golf tournament in the United States. Visit 5hewin.com for rules and entry. No purchase necessary, and it does exclude the Masters tournament, and it ends October 31st, 2025.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Now, the Locked On Podcast Network wants to hear from you. You know that Locked On covers every team, every sport. It's not just Locked On Angels. There's Locked On Rams. There's Locked On 49ers. There's Locked On Clippers, Locked On Lakers. College football just started. So obviously the Locked On College channel is popping right now. But Locked On wants to hear from you. They've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. So go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. You can't say no to that. So it's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the episode description. We appreciate you helping us out.
John, you mentioned how all of these games are close, and this is what they meant by being competitive. And then Saturday's game happened, and the Angels lost 12-1. And the first takeaway is Victor Mederos, he lacked velo and control, and it cost him in this start. And we'll talk about what happened right after this game was over. He went just 4 innings, 6 hits, 6 runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks through 68 pitches. He started fine. Had a 1-2-3 inning in the first. In the second, he allowed a hit, but he got a double play. John, he retired 8 of the first 9 hitters, but then the third inning is where things fell apart. It kind of got wild. Mederos got the first 2 outs in the top of the third, and that was the theme for the entire weekend. Let's get the first 2 outs, and then let's give him a chance. And that's what they did all weekend long. Then he walks Michael Busch, and that's what's even more frustrating. It wasn't like Busch earned his way on. Busch was given a walk, and then Kyle Tucker followed with another home run. He had 2 in this game. I wonder if the Angels should just sign him next year.
No
just
kidding.
They don't have to play him, right? Here's his slash line, lifetime against the Halos. 288, a 380 on base, a 623 slugging percentage, and 1,002 OPS. That's against the Angels. He has 27 home runs in 81 games against the Angels. It's just inevitable, right? He's Thanos, and it's just going to happen every time he plays the Halos, and that was one of the many, many mistakes that Mederos made on Saturday night.
Yeah, one of the issues in this game for Mederos was his velocity. He started the game hitting around 95, but as the game went on, you saw it hitting 91, 92. It was very noticeable in the fourth inning, and part of the reason was because Mederos just couldn't find that release point again, and because of that, he lost control. He walked 2 in that fourth inning. He hit a batter. Then with 2 outs, the bases were loaded, and the next batter, Reese McGuire, hit a grand slam. And on that pitch, the velo was back up, but it was in the most hittable spot. It was a bad sinker in on the inside part of the plate, and McGuire just turned on it and rocketed it out for a grand slam. Just way too much of the plate. And that was the only hit of the inning. Now, to update everybody, Victor Mederos said he felt something on Saturday night, and if he meant that it was physically wrong, he said it's just some fatigue. We don't know what it is. We're taking it day by day. Well, Sunday he was placed on the IL, and so he's no longer in the rotation as of this recording. Not sure who they'll be putting in there as of this recording. As I mentioned, somebody pointed out, like, "Hey, didn't Mike want to see Victor Mederos really bad?" And I said, no, I did. John did. And the reason why I said that, it wasn't that I wanted to see him super bad. It was every time he's come up, he's pitched out of the bullpen. And you look at his numbers as a starter, especially this year. They've not been great numbers, but then this year, in the last month or two, he's looked really good. And so for my money, it was like, give the guy a chance to start. Stop putting him in the pen. Stop sending him down. He's not good out of the pen. So I don't know why you keep rolling with that experiment. So it wasn't so much a, boy, I really want to see Victor Mederos. It was like, give the kid a chance. Let him start. The Angels have the situation where, they have Mederos in the rotation because they sent down Jack Johanowitz. But also it kind of goes back to, Mike, remember when we came out of the All-Star break and we are using bullpen games to get through some of these turns in the rotation? And it was like, you guys say that you're competitive, you want to win, you want to do this, you want to do that, but then you're going to give us 2 bullpen games out of the All-Star break? And I kind of feel the same way about this Victor Mederos thing. Like, look, I'm glad he got the opportunity to start. He's 0-3 in those starts, but also, you didn't have a better option when you optioned Jack Johanowitz down to the minors. You didn't trade for anybody at the deadline. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. And so you can't say one thing and do something else. It's rules for thee and not for me, right? And that's what this feels like. I'm so glad Victor Mederos got a chance. But at the same time, if you're in it and playoff bound and quote unquote obviously competitive, then you don't bring a guy up starting for the very first time in the majors. Not at this point of the season. You could do that in September. You might be able to do that in April, but coming out of the All-Star break and out of the trade deadline, that's just silly to me.
Oh, we'll talk about it more tomorrow, but John, I just want to say I'm sick and tired of pitchers coming up and not having an out pitch. Like, where are the pitchers that have an out pitch? I want Altaguiri. I want Caden Dana. I want George Clausen. I want guys that have an out pitch. Johanowitz and Mederos don't have that. So they need to work on that before they're brought back up, because that's why they struggle. That's why he's given up home runs. He's trying to throw pitches to deceive, and they're not deceiving. Plus, his shoulder hurt, and he lost his release point. So I need somebody who can throw a – then if you don't have an out pitch in one of your breaking pitches, then I need you to throw 99.
Yeah.
I need you to throw it by him.
Give me a big bender,
able
right?
To do that. Yeah, you're not able to do that. So I'm tired of that. Again, we'll talk more about that in depth on tomorrow's show. Second takeaway, John, is that the Angels couldn't hit. No. Again, they had 1 hit through 4 innings. They had 2 hits in the 5th inning, but they left runners on base. Cade Horton, who was the Cubs pitcher, had 53 pitches through 5 innings, John.
Yeah, he's a stud.
And the Angels just swung at everything. And then when it wasn't working, they decided that the best approach would be to continue to swing at everything. That was the approach. That was the strategy. That was the conversation in the dugout. Hey, it's not working, guys. So here's what you should do. Keep doing what you're doing.
Swing more. Yeah.
Right? And Trout, he did struck out 3 times in this game. Ward struck out once in this game. The only run came on a meaningless home run from Joe Adell, and I'm not saying that to knock him. It was really meaningless because they were down 12-0, right, in the 7th inning. That home run was surrounded by 2 strikeouts. The batter before and the batter after struck out. They struck out a total of 10 times in this game, had just 1 walk. For some reason, when it wasn't working, they made no adjustments. They didn't choke up. They didn't try to slap the ball. They didn't try to bunt the ball. They just kept doing what they were told to do, and it didn't work. And there's no adjustment, which is so frustrating, which goes back on Johnny Washington. That's a whole nother conversation, right?
Yeah. I've lost $500 at the poker table, but I'm going to double down and win it all back. No, that didn't happen. Third takeaway was the Angels have lost by 7 or more runs 12 times this season. So blowouts like this have been rare, and most of the games the Halos have been in, or should we say competitive, quote unquote, obviously competitive, but getting knocked around like this, it hasn't been very often, but when it happens, it sucked. I had PTSD of the last 5 years, Mike, from 2021 to 2 to 2024. And listen, 3 of those 12 blowouts have come this month.
Mm-hmm.
So the question here is, are we in for more as this season comes to an end, especially given the fact that our 4th takeaway is Nolan Schanuel left the game with wrist soreness, and he hurt it diving on a play at first in the 2nd inning. He was reevaluated on Sunday and placed on the injured list. We're probably going to see more of this in the last 5 weeks, giving guys a rest and the Angels waving the white flag. Zach Neto was pulled from the game early just because it was already such a blowout. But man, to see this kind of game in the year of our Lord 2025 didn't feel good, did it?
No, and if we're going to continue to see some blowouts, here's how I want to be blown out. I want Caden Dana trying on the mound. I want George Clausen on the mound. I don't want to see Tyler Anderson blow a game up. We've seen that enough. I've seen that game. And it would suck to see Caden Dana or other really young pitchers get blown up on the mound, but at least it's the young guys trying to figure some things out.
Yeah.
And they're starting because that's what they're doing in the minor leagues. Caden Dana had a great start. We'll talk about that this week as well in his last start on Friday. But I want to see that. If we're going to get blown out, then let's get blown out because our young guys are on the mound trying to figure stuff out instead of the same people in the same way doing the same thing. I'm tired of that. I'm just so tired of Tyler Anderson. I'm so tired of Jack Hanowitz. I'm so tired of Victor Mederos. I want to see some life on the mound. And if they give up a few runs, but they show some life and they have a strikeout pitch and they have an out pitch, then I'm going to be excited about that. That's the problem, is this team doesn't have their finger on the pulse of the fans. Their finger is on the pulse of the dollar bill, and they're only moving at that speed and at that pace. And the pulse of the fans is, hey, if we're going to suck, because right now we're 8 games under 500, the lowest we've been since May, then let's put some young guys in there and let's see what we got with those young guys. But they're still convincing themselves that they're still in this thing. And that's so frustrating.
How was that again?
They're still in this thing.
Yeah, you're going to need to come over to the video side and see that one for sure.
August 26th, that's tomorrow, is the official FanDuel Futures Day. It's a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is offering you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP or you're eyeing a long shot division winner or you're ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 starts, then this is your moment. Visit the FanDuel app right now and start planning your futures bets, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. It's tomorrow. Get ready on FanDuel. Play your game.
On a very special episode of The Angels Get Swept by the Cubs, it was Kyle Hendricks on the mound facing his team that he pitched for his whole career, and it was a special moment, and it was really sweet and all this stuff. And, you know, he got to take the chance to face the Cubs for the first time, and he spoke highly of his time in the organization. And he went 4 1/3 inning, 4 runs, 5 hits, 3 walks, and 2 strikeouts. Mike.
Yay!
Doing what he's done all year. 3 of those 4 runs scored with, guess what? 2 outs, Mike. The Angels pitchers just couldn't shut the door after getting 2 outs. Hendricks was his usual self. 3rd time through the order is what did him in. Look, I kid, because I actually do like Kyle Hendricks, and he's kept the Angels in games more often than not. I think it's 22 out of 25 starts. He's given up 4 runs or less. Now, that does equate to not a great ERA when the innings are only 4 1/3 and 5 and things like that. But at least you give the opportunity for the guys to put up some runs and support you. And, the 4 runs that he gave up, it's not impossible for the Halos to overcome, but they didn't because they struggled against Jameson Taillon. We'll talk about that in a second. But regarding Kyle Hendricks, I did appreciate what he had to say about the guys who took him under his wing with the Cubs and how he's kind of turning around and giving that back to the Angels this season, which is all we could ask for $2.5 million, right? I said it prior to the season started was if the only good thing Kyle Hendricks does is help Reed Detmers get out of his own way and get out of his head, and that's worth $2.5 million to me. Now, I don't know how much Kyle Hendricks has been involved with Detmers getting out of his own head, but certainly Detmers has been great out of the bullpen. And it seems like if he were to make a return to the rotation, he might be a different kind of Reed Detmers. So again, I'm not trying to knock Kyle Hendricks. I get so tired of like, well, we suck, so let's celebrate this other things. How about Kyle Hendricks in his first start? Like, come on,
Yeah.
It drives me nuts.
Yeah. Second takeaway is the Angels did struggle with Jameson Taillon. He went 5 innings and they pulled him for some reason. I'm not sure why they did that because he was cruising, only gave up 1 run. It was a homer to Taylor Ward in the bottom of the first. It was his 30th of the year. So congratulations to Taylor Ward. Yay.
I think Taillon just came off the IL recently, so that might have something to do with it. Yeah.
Once he left, though, John, the Angels decided that, hey, we're going to start hitting and we're going to start scoring. They scored 2 more runs. Ward got another RBI in the bottom of the 6th. This time it was off of Kittredge. It makes me think of Mission Impossible. He came in for Taillon, and then it was a double that knocked in Zach Neto, who was on with a single, and he stole a base. Then Rengifo knocks in Ward on an error that was made by Dansby Swanson, who never makes errors. And so that gave the Angels a couple of runs. But the third takeaway, John, is the Angels had a chance in the bottom of the 9th. They got 2 runners on with 1 out, and then Christian Moore comes up, and he had a rookie at bat. He worked a 3-1 count. First 2 pitches were out of the zone, called balls. Pitch 3 was a ball, but Moore swung at it and fouled it off. And then he took a ball on the outside. It was ball 3. And then the next 2 pitches were in the zone, and he swung at both, and he didn't make contact.
Yeah.
And then Bryce Teodosio comes up and couldn't make contact, and he strikes out on a very high pitch out of the zone. So you have 2 young guys that are trying to get it all back because that's what the Angels do when they're down. They go out there like it's, NBA Live, except their bats are on fire instead of the basketball. And like they're going to
NBA Jam.
Thank you. And they're going to make contact, and it's going to go 575 feet, but that didn't happen.
Here's where I'm going to push back on that.
Push.
Daniel Palencia has been great at the back of the bullpen for the Cubs this season. In fact, he moved into the closer's role, but this has been his issue all season, is location.
Yeah.
So who in the world is not prepping Moore and Teodosio in the dugout to go, hey, wait till it's in the zone?
Yeah.
Because this guy does not have great command. Mike, it's been an issue. I mean, I'm hosting Locked On MLB Game Night on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and how many times have I heard Sam Olber talk about location issues for Daniel Palencia? And look, he gets through those location issues because he can throw 100 in the zone. So you got to cross your fingers and hope that he's not going to throw it in the zone. And more often than not, that's going to be the case. So for me, it's like, who didn't prep? Like, I hear what you're saying. These guys had rookie at bats. Like, somebody tell these guys to wait on it, because he's been doing that all season. And that's where it comes in with like, what kind of prep are these guys getting? What kind of, data are they pulling on the pitchers that they're about to face? It's all right there in front of you. And I don't know how they communicate it. I don't know who's communicating it, but you'd think that somebody would say, hey, take a pitch, because this guy does not hit the zone very often. Well, this guy is not my type of guy.
And Moore took the first 2, but then it was a third pitch. He swung at that third pitch, and it was a ball. It would have been a 4-pitch walk if he didn't swing. And that just, that part of that is being a veteran. Part of that is experience. I get that. John, speaking of veterans, 4th takeaway, Trout just swung and missed all weekend long. 6 of his last 7 appearances, he's struck out. Now, he's played the most games that he's played since 2022. He played 119 that year, but did hit 40 home runs. John, do you think this is Trout just working back into baseball shape, or is this what we've kind of known was coming, that Trout is going to be a swing and miss guy, and it's going to get worse as he gets older?
Well, Jeff Fletcher of the OC Register had a great post-game article and discussed with Trout, like, what's the issue? And Trout just said, I'm not recognizing pitches out of the hand. then get some glasses, bro. Then
Right.
like, get in the cage and see different pitches, right? I mean, I don't know what his cage prep looks like. I don't know what his batting practice looks like,
Sucks.
but you gotta, right? Yeah, apparently, but that's so, like, at least he knows that. Yeah, I'm not seeing stuff out of the hands very well, and at the same time, Mike, that's so obvious. The eye test. If you're watching at home from the television, you can tell that Mike Trout does not have good pitch recognition right now. And that's where he's struggling. He's late on the fastball.
Mm-hmm.
He's swinging at stuff out of the zone. He's swinging ahead of the breaking stuff because it's slow coming into the plate and he's out in front of it, right? That's the issue. And so I don't know what you have to do to get better pitch recognition. Hook him up with Max Muncy and his optometrist, because for me, it just seems like Trout is really struggling with that. And he said as much. I still wonder if there's some mechanical stuff going on that we mentioned a few weeks ago. Jared Timms pointed out with his hip kind of opening up toward third base. You could really see that affecting him as well. Fifth takeaway, Mike, was that the Angels put 3 players on the injured list and brought 3 up to the majors. Carson Fulmer, Victor Mederos, and Nolan Schanuel all went on the IL Saturday night. Of course, the cherry on top is Carson Fulmer is just trying to pitch and get the Angels through this stinker of a game, and then he gets hurt throwing. And so that was unfortunate. Jose Soriano, who was on baby leave, congratulations to him. He's back. So he's back on the roster. He was on the restricted list, but he'll be back for his start. Chase Silseth, who got called up, went back down, came back again, actually got into the game on Sunday. So that was pretty cool. And then Matthew Lugo is also on the roster now. Silseth and Lugo were in AAA. Silseth, of course, got into the game on Sunday in relief, which is his new role now. So, with that said, would you like to see Lugo or Silseth stay until the end of the season? What do you say?
I'd love to see Lugo, but I just don't know where they would play him, because he's not going to get everyday reps, right? Because Teodosio's out there. That would be the place that they would probably play him. They're not going to have Ward or Adele sit because they're competing for a wild card spot, right? And so that's why that was sarcasm, by the way. And so it's probably going to be Chase Silseth. I would like to see what Silseth can do in the bullpen, because I think he's a 7th, 8th inning guy and could be potentially a really good arm for the Angels next season.
Yeah, I think it's worth giving them a look, because this is the things that they should be doing right now, giving guys like Silseth a look at the major league level. And look, I know Lugo probably doesn't have a place. Give him some reps too. See what you got in September, because this is where you're at, Angels. Face the music. You're broken and battered and busted. So give the guys the reps that they need. Play the rest of the season out correctly. Do it right. Give these guys reps, and then regroup over the offseason like you've done, I don't know, the last 12 years now, and see what you have for 2026.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Angels on YouTube so you don't miss all of this great Halo content and become a smarter fan. And that includes the best postcast in the biz with Gavin Carlson. He's live after every game right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day.
Hey, be sure you give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels. Connect with Mike and I on Twitter and Instagram at Super Halo Bros. Whether you're watching or listening, get in on the conversation on the YouTube show in the comment section. Find today's show on YouTube. We'd love to hear from you there as well. Mike, what do we have on deck for Tuesday's show?
Well, I thought that it would be important for us to talk about what our favorite team should do moving forward now that we are out of things, right? So John's going to take a segment tomorrow. I'm going to take a segment tomorrow. We're going to share what the Angels need to do for the rest of the season, and we're going to share our ideas, and then we're going to pass those along to Perry Manassian somehow, and we're going to share those tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
We know he's an everydayer. We know.
He has to be.
He has to be.
He just doesn't listen.
That's right.
Absorb.
Yeah, exactly. All right, friends. We hope you'll come back and join us for that. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here with us, everybody, and we'll see you back here on Tuesday.
Perry, I need you to write this down, man. Tomorrow's show. Write it down. Get a pen, get a paper, get your phone out.
Right.
Pay attention.